I would say that they would sacrifice solid theology on the altar of false unity. So many Christians are fearful that any sort of disagreement or conflict within the church walls is unbiblical. Hi everyone, I'm Melissa Dougherty with 𝗧𝗦𝗍𝗓𝗏𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏𝗧. I am an ex-New Ager and have a ministry that focuses on helping Christians better understand the New Age so that they can biblically discern half-truths from lies. In a series of videos, I wanted to talk about 5 New Age teachings that I see entering into our very churches. I covered the law of attraction last time, and in today's video, which is the second of 5, I want to talk about the teaching of oneness. Now, if you don't know what oneness is, it's basically the belief that everything in the universe is one with a capital O, and everything is connected. Some people call this living in the now. We live without judgment, there's no fear, and everything and everyone is totally and completely equal. In layman's terms, I typically describe this as an embodiment of those tolerance stickers that we see on car bumpers. Some say that it would be through returning to oneness that we discover the meaning of life, because to them, everything is spirit with a capital S, including you and me, and through this enlightened perspective, we could achieve a sort of spiritual utopia, if you will. All negative things such as suffering, conflict, wars, and poverty are caused by the mistaken belief that we're separated as the human race and separated from everything in existence. This is their view. And to them, if we can unify, we can achieve a world where there's peace and harmony. And this is done through oneness. Some call it mindlessness as well. Now, where I see a sense of the oneness perspective in churches is that some Christians tend to adopt the idea of unity as if it were the gospel itself. And so, in other words, being one and being united is their idol. To some who claim to be Christians, we should be having no disagreements, keep the peace no matter what, have no judgments, and never call out anyone's beliefs for being wrong, because this disrupts what they perceive to be unity in the church. Anything else to them is unspiritual. I would say that they would sacrifice solid theology on the altar of false unity. So many Christians are fearful that any sort of disagreement or conflict within the church walls is unbiblical. And don't get me wrong, plenty of conflict does happen, but we're never commanded to be doormats to false teachings, bad hermeneutics, and bad theology. I like to use the analogy of baking a terrible cake to make my points. If you're following a necessary recipe to bake a successful cake, and you have the essential ingredients there, and someone comes up to you and says that you need to add ketchup, mustard, and relish, pickle juice to your batter, you'd probably question their methods and logic. They probably don't know the art of baking well, and perhaps they haven't read the cookbook. But they will call you a terrible, judgmental, closed-minded baker for not adding it. So you're dividing all bakers everywhere if you don't tolerate these new ingredients. Would you add such mismatched ingredients to your cake in order to keep the peace? Probably not. And in some way, on a theological scale, we see this happening within some teachings in the church, just to keep the peace. The more you know the Bible, the more you can see that these teachings cannot be Christian. Here are some scriptures that I found useful when it comes to combating this idea. The first is in Matthew chapter 10, verse 32 through 34. Whoever acknowledges me before men, I will also acknowledge him before my Father in heaven. But whoever denies me before men, I will deny him before my Father. I didn't come to bring peace, but a sword. This is a good example of simply reading the words of Jesus to see who he actually was. He did not teach oneness. The disciples died for the gospel message, and the message was to repent, not to find mindless solitude with the universe so you can have equality in all things and live in total bliss and happiness. That was not their message. If you're interested in learning more about me and my work and this subject, you can find a lot more detailed information on my YouTube channel or at 𝗧𝗦𝗍𝗓𝗏𝗧𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏